And we all reading them, we reading whatever, and Tupac just he keep interrupting it, and he's getting frustrated. He's like, I can't get into this, like I can't feel it. And I'm like, man, look, man,
if it wasn't for Suge Knight, he would still be in somebody's cell making dinner.
He used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate.
You know how Bloods do. I ain't fucking with Snoop.
Nobody's messing with Snoop. That's it.
And they just walked up on me like, fuck the dog pound, you know what I mean?
There's gunshots, and Snoop just comes flying by him.
You know, he sees the red shirts coming. You know, like, shit.
No cuts, no scars, no hits, no nothing. But I run right into the law.
We got officers drawing punks in our faces.
Do what the fuck you gonna do about it? I got monsters, I don't got no orders.
All you suckers out there that's taking our little bras and shooting our little videos in our community and borrowing our little lowriders and all that, I'm here to tell you, we're here to take that shit back.
He was supposed to play one of the most dangerous characters in 1990s cinema. Instead, he ended up in handcuffs before Tupac Shakur became synonymous with controversy, prison sentences, and one of the most debated deaths in music history. He was cast as O-Dog in Menace II Society. What followed was not a quiet casting change. It was a behind-the-scenes fallout that escalated into a physical altercation with one of the film's directors, a criminal charge, and a conviction. The role went to someone else. The movie became a classic, and the rupture between Tupac and the Hughes Brothers became one of the most explosive what-ifs in hip-hop film history. In the early 1990s, rap and Hollywood were beginning to merge in ways that felt volatile and unpredictable. Tupac had just proven his screen presence, positioning himself as both a rising music star and a serious acting talent. At the same time, two young directors were preparing a film that would redefine the hood drama. Their collaboration should have been historic. Instead, it collapsed before the cameras ever finished rolling. Tupac Shakur was already emerging as more than a rapper. After beginning his career with Digital Underground, he released his debut solo album in 1991 and quickly became known for a voice that blended political commentary with street narratives. At the same time, he began building an acting resume. In 1992, he starred in the film Juice, playing Bishop, a character whose intensity and volatility drew widespread attention. Critics noted his natural screen presence. Hollywood noticed as well. Meanwhile, twin directors Albert and Alan Hughes were preparing their feature debut. Still in their early 20s, they were developing a raw, unfiltered portrayal of life in South Central Los Angeles. The project that would become Menace II Society aimed to capture street-level reality with a tone darker and less romanticized than other hood dramas of the time. The character of O-Dog was central to that vision. Unpredictable, menacing, magnetic. Tupac was initially cast in the role of O-Dog during early development of the film. Multiple accounts, including statements from the Hughes brothers and Tupac himself in later interviews.
Take to it. And then Cisco and Ebert came around, and the critics started coming around, and the people from the neighborhood started coming around. Was like, whoa.
They came around first, actually.
Yeah.
The most surprising thing about this is how the hardcore crowd can really get into it, and the critics also get into it, and I've never seen that happen.
What do you think people
confirmed that he was attached to the project in its early stages. At that point, his acting momentum after Juice made him a logical choice. He had already proven he could embody a dangerous, emotionally volatile character. However, tensions reportedly began almost immediately during rehearsals. The Hughes brothers have stated in interviews that Tupac was resistant to direction and wanted adjustments to his character. Tupac, in later public comments, suggested that he believed he should have been given a different role in the film, specifically the lead role of Kane, which ultimately went to Tyrone Turner. There are conflicting recollections about exactly how the disagreements escalated, but what is consistently documented is that creative differences turned personal. The production removed Tupac from the role before filming was completed. The part of O-Dog ultimately went to Larenz Tate, whose performance became one of the most iconic elements of the finished film. Menace II Society was released in May 1993 and received critical acclaim for its stark realism and unflinching tone. But by the time the film reached theaters, the conflict had already spilled beyond casting decisions. On April 6, 1993, an altercation occurred involving Tupac and one of the Hughes brothers, Allen Hughes. According to court records and contemporaneous reporting, Tupac confronted Allen Hughes and assaulted him. Hughes later stated that the attack resulted in injuries. Tupac was arrested and charged in connection with the assault. The incident moved from industry dispute to criminal matter. Later that year, Tupac was convicted of misdemeanor assault and battery related to the altercation. He was sentenced to jail time and probation. The legal consequences were real, and they added to a growing list of controversies surrounding him during that period. The timing was significant. In 1993, Tupac's public image was already becoming more volatile. In October of that year, he was involved in a separate high-profile incident in Atlanta involving off-duty police officers, which resulted in charges that were later dropped. By late 1993, he faced a sexual assault charge in New York, for which he would be convicted in 1994 and sentenced to prison in 1995. The clash with the Hughes brothers occurred at a moment when his career was expanding rapidly, but his legal troubles were beginning to accumulate. For the Hughes brothers, the film moved forward without him. Menace II Society debuted to strong box office numbers and became a defining entry in early 1990s urban cinema. Larenz Tate's portrayal of O-Dog was widely praised, and the character became emblematic of the film's nihilistic tone. Tupac did not retreat from acting. In 1993, he starred in Poetic Justice alongside Janet Jackson, portraying a very different character than Bishop or O-Dog would have been. In 1994, he appeared in Above the Rim, again reinforcing his crossover presence in film. The trajectory suggests that being removed from Menace II Society did not end his acting ambitions, but the incident deepened a narrative forming around him.
Ask me some deep shit. What about that? That's why I agreed to do this interview. I thought we was finna do deep.
That of a fiercely talented artist locked in escalating conflicts. Public commentary about the dispute continued in the years that followed. Tupac spoke critically of the Hughes brothers in interviews, and the directors maintained that removing him from the film was a professional necessity due to behavioral concerns. Some observers have argued that Tupac's energy might have altered the tone of Menace II Society had he remained in the cast. Others believe that Larenz Tate's performance defined the film in a way that might not have occurred otherwise. Those interpretations remain speculative, but the documented fact is clear. Tupac was initially cast, removed amid conflict, and later convicted of assault related to the fallout. The broader cultural context matters. Early 1990s hip-hop and cinema were converging. Films like Juice and Menace II Society were not just entertainment, they were reflections of real environments, real tensions. The line between on-screen persona and off-screen identity could blur. Tupac's performance in Juice had been so convincing that some critics questioned whether he was acting or channeling personal intensity. When disputes erupted on the set of Menace II Society, that same intensity appeared to spill into real life. After serving prison time for the 1994 sexual assault conviction, Tupac was released in October 1995 and signed with Death Row Records. His career entered another phase, defined by commercial success and escalating rivalry with East Coast artists, most notably the notorious B.I.G. That conflict would culminate in Tupac's shooting in Las Vegas on September 7, 1996, and his death 6 days later at age 25. The clash with the Hughes brothers did not directly contribute to those later events, but it remains part of the documented pattern of confrontation that marked his short life. It revealed an artist unwilling to accept creative decisions quietly. It also showed how quickly professional disagreements could turn physical in an era when ego reputation, and respect carried enormous weight. For the Hughes Brothers, Menace II Society launched a directing career that continued with films such as Dead Presidents in 1995 and From Hell.
You'll have a chance to come here and rebuttal.
No, they won't. They better come now. Check this out. They fired me, but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way. So I caught them on the streets and beat they behind. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
I was a menace to the Hughes Brothers. And it ain't over. I still got more than chunk.
In 2001, the controversy with Tupac became a footnote in their origin story, but it also underscored the volatility surrounding early 1990s portrayals of street life in cinema. The question of what might have happened if Tupac had remained in the role of O-Dog lingers in cultural memory. Would the film have felt different? Would his presence have shifted its reception? There is no way to answer definitively. What is documented is that he was attached to the project, removed after disputes, and later involved in an assault that led to conviction. Menace II Society endures as a landmark film. Tupac Shakur endures as one of the most studied and debated figures in music history. Their brief intersection represents a moment when two rising forces collided instead of collaborating. In 1993, both sides were young, ambitious, and uncompromising. The film industry was still adjusting to the raw authenticity hip-hop brought into mainstream culture. Boundaries were being tested. Personalities were clashing. In that environment, a casting disagreement became something far more consequential. The events unfolded in a clear sequence. Tupac's success in Juice elevated his acting profile. He was cast in Menace II Society. Creative tensions emerged during early production. He was removed from the role. A physical altercation occurred in April 1993. He was arrested, charged, and later convicted of misdemeanor assault and battery. The film was released without him and became a cultural milestone. What Remains is not just a story about a lost role. It is a story about volatility at the intersection of art and identity, about how a young artist, already balancing music stardom and film opportunity, found himself in yet another confrontation that added to a growing legal record, about how a film that aimed to depict chaos nearly collapsed under chaos behind the scenes. In the end, Menace II Society immortalized O-Dog without Tupac, and Tupac built a cinematic legacy without Menace II Society. But for a brief moment in 1993, those paths crossed and exploded. The film became a classic. The rapper became a legend. And the clash between them remains one of the most revealing episodes in the story of how hip-hop entered Hollywood. Not quietly, but with force. Like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold corners of hip-hop and the streets. Because what they want covered, Squabble Spot will.